Before we start getting better at defense, you got to know this. Defense is truly all about attitude. And if you're willing to go after every ball, commit to every single play, and keep that ball off the floor, then you're going to be a successful defensive player. So we're going to look at some tips that are going to help you develop more range, more confidence, and more ball control when you make that effort to go play the ball. The first tip that we're going to look at is body position. When you're playing defense, body position is really important. Your court position is where you are on the court, but if you're not ready with good body position, then you won't be able to dig the ball, and balls will land right near your feet, and you just aren't prepared. This is a good prepared body position. Her feet are shoulder width apart, her knees are bent, her shoulders are out in front of her knees, and the way that she accomplishes good body balance is she keeps her elbows out in front of her knees with her hands out in front. Keeping her hands out in front is really valuable to her for many reasons. The primary reasons are for hand-eye coordination, platform readiness, and also to keep her balance forward. She wants to be able to move forward through the ball every time she plays defense. So this is her ready position, or what we call tight. From being tight, she can explode out to play the ball defensively. Go ahead and stand back up and you can relax. This takes a lot of body strength and it takes a lot of discipline. You'll note that it really works your quads, your hams, your glutes, and your lower back to be able to maintain that body position. But if you're going to be a great defensive player and you want to get better, then you've got to be able to work on those muscle groups to be strong enough to hold your defensive body position. So body position is important. We'll get back in that position again. Next thing we'll look at is what we actually do with our platform when we go to dig a ball. In this move we call shoot. The shoot move, she's simply going to take her hands from being apart out in front, and she's going to put them together and put them into a platform. When she does so, she's putting them out to where she wants to make contact with the ball, up here on her forearms. She doesn't want to contact the ball down here on her knuckles because that'll cause the ball to go all different directions in the gym. So she wants to contact the ball here on her forearms. This is the shoot position. So let's stand up for a second and let's look at the hands in the shoot position. When she puts her hands out and she has them hand out, palms up to play defense, it's for a couple of reasons. One is not only are her fingertips in her peripheral vision, which helps her with hand-eye coordination, but the second reason is that the ball comes so fast and she's not able to get her hands together. These are good platforms to deflect the ball individually. Even when they're independent of each other, the ball can come off these hands and still be playable. Ideally, she's going to have time to react to the ball and shoot her hands together to form a platform. When she does, she's going to use what we call an overlapping platform or overlapping hand position. The overlapping hand position is very simple. She puts her left palm or knuckles inside of her right palm, and then she folds her thumbs over top of her fingers. This exposes this part of her forearm, the white or inside parts of her forearm, and gives a lot of meat or a lot of area for that ball to make contact. So this is the overlapping hand position when she goes to shoot her platform to contact. So again, we'll get into her ready position or tight. She has her hands out in front, she's got her back nice and flat, and she has her eyes on the ball and her hands are in her peripheral vision. Now when the ball comes in, she needs to play the ball, she's going to shoot to contact. She has her hands together in that overlapping position. And we look at the next tip, and that tip is what we call drive. Drive is really important because drive is what will elevate the ball and keep it on our side of the net instead of going back to our opponent. The drive move is very simple. She's going to push her elbows down to the floor, making a bend in her arms when she makes contact. When she pushes her elbows down to the floor, you notice that her shoulders also go down to the floor. Come back up to tight. Now shoot, now drive. Okay? When she makes this drive move, she's making her platform basically parallel or flat like the floor. This will keep the ball bouncing up and high onto our side because it adds backspin to the ball. Backspin on the ball elevates the ball and keeps it moving in this direction instead of going over the net. So the drive move is really important. The drive move also happens by her shoulders and elbows going down, not her hands coming up towards her face. If she does it where she pulls her hands towards her face, she starts and shoot and pulls her hands towards her face, she's going to eliminate some of her reach with her platform. And she'll pull a lot of balls off of this area of her hands and shank them all over the gym. So she wants to keep her hands in the same position and drive her elbows down to the floor. So we'll see the move one more time. She's tight, she shoots, and she drives. This is the basic digging contact position and technique to elevate the ball and keep it on our side of the net. Now we're going to have a few live reps here, and we'll look at the tight, the shoot, and the drive move. And then we'll talk about a couple of other tips inside of this technique that'll help you be more efficient and effective. So she starts on a tight body position, she's got her hands out, and the weight is on the ball of her feet. She goes from tight to shoot, and then she's doing a great job of driving her elbows down and her shoulders down through contact. Now, you'll notice after she makes contact that a lot of times she's ending with her knees down to the floor, and that's fine. She wants to lower her center of gravity as she goes through the final contact. You'll also notice that the ball's coming off with a lot of backspin, and they're landing around the 3-meter line on this side of the net. That's her target area. We don't want to set a target area of right on the net, because when you make a 1-foot mistake, that ball goes over the net. Instead, if you set your target area for the 3-meter line or the 10-foot line and you make a 1-foot mistake, it's still a ball that's settable by your setter. So we encourage our players to drive the ball down, elevate the ball nice and high, and keep the ball at about the 3-meter line on our side of the net. So watch again as she stays square to where the ball is coming from, and she drives down and finishes with her elbows to the floor to elevate that ball. Good. Now, the last thing that you'll notice here for the basic digging technique is what she's saying every time she makes a contact. Whether the ball is good or bad, whether it's up perfect or not, every time she makes contact on a defensive move, she's going to call up. And the reason she's calling up is because she wants all of her teammates to know that that ball is still in play. Especially the people in the front row, the blockers who have their backs turned right at contact, sometimes they don't identify or see that the ball is still in play, and they miss out on the next contact. So she's going to call out every single time as loud as she can, up, to let her teammates know that the ball is still alive and still in play.